When people start to read the Bible, they read it like a story. They expect a plot, characters, a dramatic climax, and most of all, action, just like any other novel. The book of Genesis has lots of these kinds of stories, such as the Garden of Eden, Sodom and Gomorrah, and Jacob's Ladder. Readers may not understand the stories completely, but at least they can follow the storyline. But when people read the book of Exodus, and then they read the laws of Moses and the plans for building the sanctuary, they begin to get bored. There's no plot, no characters, and no action, just a long list of laws and commands. These parts of the Bible are difficult for many people to read. So, why are these parts hard? The reason has to do with the word genre. But what is a genre? A genre is defined as a style or category of art, music, or literature. Since the Bible is a book, we're going to look at genres in literature. Now, not all literature is the same. For example, the book on the right is a biography. It tells a true story and has a plot, characters, and so on. The book on the left is a code of laws. There's no plot, no characters, and no action. It's just a list of laws. Put simply, you cannot read these books the same way. The biography is meant to be read straight through, while the Code of Laws is a resource to look up specific laws. If you tried to read the Code of Laws as a story, it would put you to sleep, even if you were a lawyer. So how does this help us? Well, people often think of the Bible as a single book, but that's not true. It's actually 66 books in a single volume. The books of the Bible fall into 5 broad categories. Readers usually understand the narrative books and the epistles the best. This is because narrative books, like the 4 Gospels, have lots of stories, and the epistles have very direct instruction. But we struggle with the other 3 categories: law books, wisdom books, and prophecy books. And to be honest, we also struggle with some of the narrative books, such as the Kings and the Chronicles. That means that on average, we understand just a little more than half the Bible. But the problem goes a bit deeper, because even in the same type of book, there are different types of writing. For example, take the story of Jonah, who gets swallowed by the big fish. Chapter 1 tells the story of Jonah trying to run away from God and failing. His story is an example. In this case, an example that we should not follow. But after he is swallowed by the fish, Jonah writes some poetry about his experience. But we also know from the Gospels that his experience was a prophecy about how Jesus would suffer for us. When people read the book of Jonah, they read through the story until they reach Jonah's poem. Then, when they read the poem, they don't understand it, skip it, and continue reading the story. But if we want to understand the whole Bible, we need to learn how to read these harder sections. So, how can we understand more of the Bible? All 66 books of the Bible use just 7 basic types of texts. We just saw 3 of them. Examples teach practical lessons through stories, poetry uses repetition, and prophecy shows us future events. Laws teach us how the world around us works, symbolism gives lessons through symbols, epistles give very direct instruction, and metaphors use a story to illustrate something else. Each text type has a different method to help unlock its meaning. For example, with symbols, the Bible tells you what they mean. So, you first need to list the attributes of the symbol, then find something else in the Bible that has the same attributes. When reading poetry, you need to group similar phrases together and summarize what the author is saying. In other words, make it simpler. Once you understand how to read all 7 text types, you'll have the tools to go to hard places and get something useful out of it. So check out the next video in the series, Learn the Text Types, and let God speak to you from anywhere in the Bible.